Okay, my name is Rosalie. My maiden name is Crick Bear. And my married name is Whirlwind Soldier. And I attended St. Francis Indian Boarding School back in the late 50s. All the year of the 50, in the first part of the 50s to the middle part. And I didn't like it. Okay, I was young, probably around maybe 10, around 11, when I was dropped off at the boarding school, because our mom died, and my dad couldn't be keeping us. So he first he asked my grandpa, he was the chief of the Rosebud Sioux tribe, asked him if it was all right for us to go to the boarding school. And he said it was all right because it was run by the Catholics. And the Catholics should be nice people because they pray and all that, he said. So they dropped us off there. And at first, I don't know anybody in my family. I really don't. Nobody taught me anything. They just dropped us off. All I know is friends, like her. That's all. I didn't know. I wasn't close to my parents. I wasn't close to ground and nobody. And they dropped me off at this boarding school was run by like a prison. We're young yet. They wake us up at 6 o'clock, march us to the church. It's cold. And if we don't kneel down, they whip us. They whip our back of our legs with a razor strap. Or sometimes they hit us where our muscle is. So we have to kneel down. And we didn't know how to pray, but they told us to pray. We have to pray or we go to hell. So we just all don't know how to pray, don't know how, but we put our heads down. But still we get hit. Praise, you know? So after a while, you cry and you try to get out of there, but you can't. So you learn to live that way. Learn to get hit. And you miss it if they don't hit you. You miss it. You need that hit to tell how bad you are. And I think that, to me, that was made me strong, is to be bad. I'm a sinner. I'm going to hell. So at a young age, I was strong. I'm not bragging, but I had to do something. I couldn't call my mom or tell my dad. I tell my grandpa, but he was a strong Catholic. So he didn't bother to take us home. So he just left us. By the time when I was in the 3rd grade, we were all playing basketball or playing ball. We were all playing in a gym. And we all ran, and I had the ball, and I took off, and all the kids, girls that we were playing, all chased me. And I fell, and all fell on top of me. And I broke my leg. Nobody really bothered that I broke my leg. The nuns were there, but they didn't come rushing. It was my friends that dragged me to the door and told one of the nuns that I broke my leg, or something's wrong with my leg. And they took me to the infirmary, and you know what? They left me. They left me there for 3 weeks with a broken leg. It swelled up all the way up here. And I was sick. I had a fever, and I was sick. Because, I don't know, probably was not doing good or whatever in my system. And someone called my grandpa. So my grandpa came and took me to the hospital. That's one of the things that happened to me at that boarding school. And that ruined my leg from not being fixed right away. I started having problems with my ankle, affected my knee. That's when I staggered, have to use a cane. And the other one is me and my friend got punished. I don't know what we were doing, but we're always getting hit. Always. If a day goes by without getting hit, you feel like you're not here. I had to get hit all the time. to justify that I'm alive. Anyway, she said we did something, and my friend's name was Marlene. I think it was Marlene Longfox was her name. She locked us in a shelter and downstairs in the basement with no windows, no lights, no bathroom. And it was pitch dark, and they pushed us in there. And I think we stayed in there for 3 days. There was pitch dark. We couldn't find our way anywhere. So we had to feel the wall, go along, and then we touched some barrels, like, they were wet, like. I think I was probably the strongest, maybe, because she just cried and hung on to me. Don't go, you know? And I found my way to those barrels, and I touched around, and I told her to touch on the other side, because they're big, and always bigger than us. They're big barrels, and I think there's more in there. But anyway, I opened one, I pushed it, and it came open. I stuck my hand in there. It was ice cold, you know? And I smelled it, tasted it. It was dill pickles. It was cucumbers in there. So I took one, and it was pretty big. I gave it to her. Oh, she was just happy. She started eating, and I took one. And then I took another one I gave her, and she had two, and I had two. So again, I turned around and went back towards the wall, and she hung on to me. We got to the corner, and we sat down to eat pickles. And there was no bathroom in her.
Yes. Derek.
And I told her to hold herself. We have to, because they'll come. They will come. And I fell asleep. I woke up. She was asleep too, but we were wet. Probably peed our pants. But we didn't mind after that. We got up again. She said, let's go get some more pickle. So we went over and got some more pickle. By that time, I couldn't hardly eat the pickle. My mouth was so tight. My eyes, I couldn't hardly see, like it was so tight, my eyeballs, and my earlobes, and my throat. Pretty soon I couldn't breathe, like I couldn't hardly eat. So I said, how are you? Are you all swollen? She said, yeah, my lips are really big. She said, they're really tight touch. Come in, touch your lip. Okay, let's don't eat. Let's sit down for a while. So we touched again. And the place that wasn't wet is where we sat. So we sat down. We must have fell asleep, woke up, and she wanted another pickle. And by then, I didn't care. I got up, kind of know where it was. I got her a pickle, got myself a pickle, and we just sucked on them because you couldn't chew it. We were all swollen. And here, something rattled. So he said, listen, probably your mouth. We should know, listen. And none fooling around the door now, open. Oh my God, I forgot all about you girls. We couldn't stand up because the bottom of our shoulders were swollen from the dill pickles. We were all swelled up because of the dill pickles. She hit us with a ruler again. But I didn't care. It didn't hurt me. And she dragged us up the steps and took us to the playroom and sat us down. Go to class, go to class. She hit us with a stick again. I went in the classroom. All the kids looked at me and her. We were wet, smelling pee, dill pickle, all swollen. Nobody cared. We got over that way. And we didn't even wash us. So I learned to be dirty just as long as I had my socks, you know? Because sometimes it's so cold. How can anybody treat a human being that way, especially when they're young. And even today, when I talk to the tribe, I talk my language. They don't pay attention to me, I shut myself off right away. They don't care. Nobody cares. I wanted to know if there was a place where the people will care about you, who you are. But I could ask them. I just went on with my life. It was no good, and the dormitory, and where we sleep, whole bunch of us. It was cold, really cold. And I slept right in the corner at the end of the building, and there's all the little ones slept. There were little girls, 4 years old, 5 years old, little girls that were left there. And one was right beside me. She's always crying. And I always have to get up and go hold her. She went to the bed. All the ones in the corner went to bed, so they slept there. They put them in one place. These are the nuns that were doing that. Next morning we pray to the Hail Marys, 100 times. Our Father, 100 times. I know in my heart, it just comes to me sometimes. And they're not prayers. Those are just words that I learned as I grew up. And she'd be crying, so I tried to help her. And then the nun comes over and hits both of us. For what? But she hits us, and she said, "You take your mattress outside in the back door." Remember the dormitory in the corner? At the outside is a big old porch made out of iron. And she tells this little girl, "Take your mattress outside and put it out there so it'll dry." And her other little kids with their mattress, they have to take it out there themselves, and they're 4 years old and 5 years old. Have to take their mattress outside in the cold and set it up. And then take their sheets and hang it over there too, and everything's iced over. But this little girl doesn't know. She says, "I did it," But they hit her again. Life was that way for almost 2 years that I went there, where I got so sick. Maybe they took all my spirit away, where I got so sick I never went back to school. But those were tortures that we went through.
Was this that?
I never did love my mom and dad either, because they took me away from them, and I never questioned why. I just lived. But I felt bad for this little girl, and I had to tell, because she was part of my life. I met her, some little girl. In the future, I seen her at McDonald's. I was talking to her, a lady that went to school there too, and I was talking to her. I said, "How's your little sister?" "Oh, no, she's not my little sister no more." She said, "You can meet her. She's here." I was anxious. I thought I was going to see a broken down person, Somebody that got tortured so much that there's nothing in them but just a shock. And here first comes a woman, real pretty and tall, has blonde sandy hair, really pretty, a big smile on her face. She kept coming. She stopped. I got up. We looked at each other, and she just grabbed me. He said, "I'm Sarah, and these are my kids. There's 4 of them. This is my husband. He was from India." I shook hands. I said, "So I live in India. We just came back to visit my mom." "I'm all right," she said. She said, "I'm all right," and she hugged me. So I told her, "I'm not all right." I'm still kind of sick, I still not sure of myself. It don't bother me. Bad things happen. Bad things happen to me. It don't bother me. I don't panic. But I cried for the other person. I made it with all that torture from the name of God. We were tortured. I have a spirit. Nothing. When they said they were bringing, having honoring of those Carlisle kids, I thought about it. They're gone, and I'm a survivor. I lived. What was it that I have that I lived and they died? You know? Was it that I just forgot who I was, that I was a human being, a Lakota, someone's special daughter? No. None of that. I just exist. It was hard for me to feel, really hard. And when I start to know people, there's a feeling that comes over me. Respect that they're strong. Then I can associate with. But if I have respect, but this person's weak, I don't have feelings for them. And as my life grown older, I have a lot of grandsons. And some of them, they drank and got into drugs. And I raised all of them. They got into drugs, and I didn't panic. You know, I didn't panic. I didn't kick them out. I didn't do that. I sat them down. And I told them, I'm Lakota. There's a reason why I'm here, especially my grandsons. You don't feel the way I do. I taught you everything there is to know about to care for another person, to take care of them. And you have to do this. I'm sending all of you to treatment, all 9 of you. And you have college education to finish up, you finish that up before you come back to me and call me grandma. I want that done by the time you guys are 30 years old. Because I really don't know you, you know. I want you to be somebody, because I want you to represent who you are. You're a Lakota. There's a reason God made you to be who you are and where to be. You don't belong nowhere. You belong in this nature. You belong to the air. All of that. When we start carrying, having things, get some more stuff, get this, that, we forget to contact with one another. We are supposed to love one another for the air that we breathe, the trees that we have, the sage. Those are things, simple things that we're supposed to have. Not abundances of everything. And that's when we lose touch again. And it's just like the boarding school. No feelings. Just be happy that you're torturing somebody and bugging somebody, you know? And all my suggestions came back. No. I have one more, but he's 13. And I told them, once you guys all come out, that's when I'm leaving. I'm going home. No? The real hold that I was supposed to know what I don't know. I don't know about love. I didn't know nothing. The only know how I start loving was my husband. I was 17, and he was 27. He told me he loved me, and I didn't know what that was. I didn't know what love was. They have catechism, and you're supposed to love this person named Margaret. Margaret married St. Anthony, St. You know, who are they? I don't know them. And I don't know what this word love is. So why? I remember we were wasting my time with all this, and I get hit. because I have questions like that. It was no good. It was no good to be empty. And that's what the boarding school did to me. Emptied me all out.
Which
And I'm barely getting it back. But now I am 78 years old. But half of my grandsons are back. They're back. And they're the ones that show me about love. I care. And my husband taught me a lot about love. Love one another, respect each other. Tell the truth, things like that. I was taught from my husband. Everything in my life, my husband taught me. Everything. And then when he left, he told me that. My husband, to the last breath, he held my hand and he told me that he's leaving now. He's going home. And I'll be waiting for you. And you're going to be all right. You are going to be all right. You remember that. And I know I have a time coming. I know. But what I'm going to say, these schools that they call boarding schools, they teach you. They don't really teach you. They're just keeping you. Tried to get rid of you. That's to cheat your way of life. And it will never get any better. Never. All the people that grew up in the boarding school have no feelings, nothing. And that's how we are today. All these people that drink can't have a home, can't have a family, can't do nothing. They do drugs. Those are offspring of us. Because I didn't have no feelings at all. And I passed it on to the next generation. And like you people, I am very glad that what you're doing, you're teaching the younger of what you learned from the elders. And I know you guys are going to prosper because you must have had grandmas that taught you to do what you're doing, or a grandpa. Because otherwise you would have been like me, nothing. And what is everybody is today, nothing. They have meetings, you can't say things. They'll take you to court. Even if you told them they did something wrong, they still think they're right. That's from the boarding school. All the damage they have done, we pushed it off on the new generation. It's going to take a long time to straighten it out. It is going to take people like you to straighten that out. But sometimes I thought that I must have been a Jew. The only thing they didn't do was put me in the oven and burn me up. The Catholics. That's what they did to me. Good thing I got away. I didn't get away because somebody helped me. I was sick. I was dying. Put me in a hospital. They put me in a hospital to die. First, they stuck needles in me for a whole year. But I didn't die. I'm here. That's the Catholic Church. I wanted to know someone that I wanted to talk to the Pope, the bishop. I did talk to the bishop from Rapid City. He said, "What can we do for you? You're such a good person," he said. "Tell you what," I said, was all the money that you took from us, from the Lakota, going to church, put your tithe. You give the money, this, buy everything to the Catholic Church. I said, you can build good houses for the Lakota, you know. That's what I said I want. Then I told him I told the bishop from Rapid City that, and tell them. But it was bad. It was really bad. Cold beds, army blankets, no socks sometimes. Some older person will take your socks. But you go through that all week because you can't have any more. No food, hardly no food. I don't think I ever had bread when I was little. They had a big long table we sat, and the older one would sit, just pass out stuff. They said bread, the older ones take it, and the little ones take nothing, get that nothing. But I am happy that you kids, your younger people are doing what you're doing. Because, like I cried today, you know? But that's a good cry, good tears. They're happy tears. That somebody thinks what we went through was bad. Nobody forgot about us. And that's on those people that were buried, those kids that were buried, you know? Nobody cared about them. They had to dig them up. Good thing we survived. They could have dug us up from St. Francis Indian School. No good. To torture us in the name of God. No? And that's all I gotta say. And thank you for listening to me.
Do you want to take a break, or do you want to go on to the next one?
Oh, I can go on.
Because.
Thank you for your words.
But that with these volcanics, it isn't. But of course.
Thank you for showing it. For sure.
But we do look at it.
Look at it. So we can answer the first two questions. Introduce yourself, the name of the boarding school you attended, how old you were, and what was life like for you before boarding school, and what was it like after.
My name is Pauline Clodman. I'm sorry I have a hard time talking because I lost my bridge, but so anyway, my maiden name is Clodman. My dad was an Eagle peasant from Parmley, but I grew up with my mother's people, the Clodmans, and my biological mom died when I was 6 years old. So we always lived with my grandparents, so they just kind of started taking care of me. But one day my grandpa came back and said that they had to take us to the boarding school, or he was going to go to jail. So they got us all ready, and then they took us to St. Francis and dropped us off, and I was probably about 7 years old. And it was so different because my grandma was so loving, truly, before the boarding school, and I remember I got to sleep with her and she'd rub my back in the night, and I drift off into sleep. But it was like a rude awakening when I first went to the boarding school. I remember I used to sit by the window and cry. Whatever good that was gonna do, I'd just sit there for hours and cry. I didn't like it at the boarding school. It was like, kind of like the military, I guess. They'd march us around, and we all had to stand in lines, and when we went in to eat, they assigned you details, they call them. So there was a whole bunch of us that did only eat a fork, because there was like, I guess, 500 kids. So, and then there'd be another crew that do the spoons, and then there would be some that would do the mopping, and some that would do the tables, that sort of thing. It was like everything was just detailed. And
It was a dead.
we were always in a line. It just seemed like marching, kind of. And Rosie was talking about at night when you went to bed. I remember the sheets were so cold. Oh, they were just cold. And they just gave you one of the blanket. And so you just ball up and try to stay warm. And then they turned out the heat. Oh, it was really cold when you got up in the morning. And then they take you to church about 6 o'clock in the morning, and that was something else. And I've talked about this when the secretary came last fall, that some of the girls were just tired because getting up so early, and everyone had to kneel, and they call them pews, the things you pull down and kneel on, and some of those girls would be slumped over. And there was a nun that had this needle, and she was just so fast. Oh, she would just be walking, and if you were slumped over, boy, she'd stick you. Mm-hmm. She used that same needle to stitch as she was going. I know. Rosie probably remembers that. Mm-hmm. So now I'm a nurse. I'm a registered nurse. I'm also an LPN. But now I know that you can get all kinds of diseases using the same needle. It's a wonder we didn't get hepatitis. Maybe we did, but we never knew. Mm-hmm. They never paid attention to us when you were sick. When I was a first grader, I had a friend, her name was Richenda. You know, she died. Mm-hmm. And I don't even know what happened to this day. All of a sudden, she was gone. And I said, "Where's Richenda?" And they said, well, they had to take her out of here because she's dead. But so I wondered about that for a long time. What happened? I hope her spirit's okay. And I remember there was a little boy too. He was a little bit older than we were. And he was gone. Everybody was looking for him. And here they found his body out in the canyons. 10 years later. Gee, what happened there? Maybe one of those I hate to be, pointing fingers and everything, but maybe one of those priests or whatever went too far. Killed him, maybe. I don't know. But I remember that. But it was like you were always working. They made you work all the time. And my older sister, Bernice, she had to work in the laundry, and they had this thing that was like a big iron. And it would go up, and then they had to press those nuns' sheets. So that's what she was doing. And it came down, and while she had her hands like this, it clamped down her hands. And it don't let go till it's done. And it just pried her fingers. I remember she had to go to the burn unit. She was gone for a long time, and my cousin, Tina, was telling me they want to cut off her hand. But my uncles went out there and put a stop to all that. So she came back there, and she was able to, she had full function in her hands and her fingers. But when she died a few years ago, she was laying in her coffin. She still had the scars on her fingers. Things like that happened. And then there was a boy that was real sleepy, so he was like this on that spinner. You take the stuff out of the washing machine, put him in a spinner, and then you spin it. So he was like this, and his hand slipped, and it went in. It just took it out, his whole arm. And he was just probably like 10, 11. But it's really, I don't like to even think about hurtful things. When I think about the boarding school, it knocks me down. Because they're small. And I was telling myself I was a real helpful, strong person. But that's what it can do to you. It just smashes your soul. I'm tired, this small. So all these years, I never hardly think about the boarding school. I refuse. I just didn't want to even put myself through all that torture again. So they put DDT on her. Yeah. They put DDT on our hair. That DDT is a forever chemical. It's banned by the United States in some places now. So, but that's what they put in our hair. And it goes in your bones, and that's there forever. And you pass it on to your children and down the line. So there's a lot of cancer in our people. And we can't sleep. Yeah, and the care seat. It's a wonder nobody went on fire. But, boy, you'd have shiny hair. You were all full of that petroleum, the kerosene. And my ears were black. And yeah, your forehead would be all burned. Stuff like that they did to us. But I hope that through this, even talking about it, maybe it's going to help us. There's kids that I grew up with in the boarding school when I tell them, you should, come and be with us and we can talk about it. No, I don't want to. I'm not coming. They didn't want to look at it. It's maybe things happen to them. Real bad things. Gee. When we were like in the 3rd grade, we were all lined up outside and it was really cold. And someone did something, I don't know who, but I heard this snapping and it was coming closer. I looked at it, it was that nun. She had a ruler and she was just hitting our bare legs. And it was really cold. That just about made you pee your pants. It was just because somebody did something, we all had to pay. Oh, I don't know. Just something. And we only had one bath. Just one time a week. After that. Yeah. But through all this, I hope that we can achieve peace within ourselves and show the young people getting something. And I was there when we were in the infirmary. I don't know, I can't remember what happened to me, but I was kind of sick, so they put me in the infirmary. And there was a girl in there that just was moaning and crying. She cried all night. Here, it was her. So later on, I said, when I retire, I'm going to write a book. And I asked her, could I write that, what happened to you, in my book? And she said, sure. But she laid there with that broken leg all night, just moaning. Oh, that was just, I hardly got any sleep. Yeah. But yeah, it just, it's true. It kind of kills your spirit. That's what it does.
It's like that horror movie.
Yeah. And I was an emergency room nurse for 30 years. And all the things that happened in there, I don't know, there's something that goes click inside of me, and then I do what I'm supposed to do. I put everything out of my mind, and it's like you don't have any feeling with it. There was a couple of times when I had to leave and sit down and cry because it was so god-awful that something happened to someone in the ER. So I was really good at my job because I could turn that feeling off where nothing mattered almost. You just do what you had to do, no matter how bad it was. Oh my.
Yeah.
So, but I really don't think we're gonna be able to get all that back at our age. We're in our 70s. We don't have too much time left. But hopefully sessions like this can resolve the historical trauma that it caused our kids and grandkids and down the line. I know it's quite a ride. That's all I can say, But I hope that we can have some of the kids that we grew up with open up too.
Yeah. Yeah.
It'll help their families
Yeah.
because, man, I mean, it's just going on and on. And it's kind of getting worse too with now the younger generations into drugs and down the line like that. And it's almost like there's no hope or something. I don't know. I always say to people, you know, in prison, you had more rights than we did in the boarding school.
Mm-hmm.
You don't dare open your mouth because, oh, it just, those nuns would just slap you up. Oh, it just, give me something. But thank you for bringing this kind of out. It's sad. It's sad what happened to us. But I know that there's kids that worse things happen to them than me. So, yeah. So with that, thank you.
Okay. My name is Rose, two-strike Stenstrom. Stenstrom's my married name. I went to school at the Rosebud boarding school, and I think I got there when I was like a kindergarten or whatever, you know, in a really lower grades there. And so I seen or, you know, heard a lot. And the reason why, you know, we went to boarding school was out in our area. We lived way out in the country. So one day they said that we all had to go to boarding school. So all of us kids out in that area, we all went to boarding school. And I think about half of us are still living and the other half, you know, already passed on. But they, that's where we went. And when I was at home, I think I had it made because I had my grandmothers around. So it was, you know, a normal upbringing, you know, with the grandparents, parents, you know, everybody around. But once I went to boarding school, we were just kind of by ourselves. We just had to fend for ourselves. Nobody, none of the people that went there, they never came around to help you, you know, tell you comb your hair in the morning or, you know, wash up in the morning, nothing like that. You just got there and you just had to find out for yourself. So a lot of times you when you first get there, you were always in trouble. That's what I remember because I was always in trouble. And when I looked at, you know, how we were treated, it was like military, and I think that's how most of the boarding schools were run. Like it was patterned after the military. So we had to all, you know, get in lines and, you know, follow each other. You know, if we stepped out of line, you know, we were in trouble. You know, there's all kinds of, you know, things like that. It was. We all had to get up at a certain time and, you know, do this by a certain time, you know, all kinds of stuff, and then go to school. And the school wasn't really, to me, I thought it was, a majority of it was focused on discipline. It wasn't really education because, like I said, when you first got there, nobody explained to you, you know, you get up at 6 a.m, nothing like that. You just followed everybody else, you know, because we had open bay dorms. So I don't remember how many girls were in the open bay dorm, but there was a lot of us. There was just all next to each other. So if somebody got sick, it just went on down the line because we were all, I think our beds are probably about that far apart, you know, 4 or 5 feet apart. So so when one got sick, we all got sick. It just went on down the line. It seems like we just kind of passed it to each other, you know. And you know, these guys mentioned infirmaries. I don't ever remember any of the kids ever being taken to a hospital. We had an infirmary there, and that's where the kids went if they got sick or anything. And that's where they stayed. So I don't think that, any really proper health care was ever given, you know. And when you went to school, you couldn't speak out of turn, or it was like, you don't speak until you're spoken to or you're asked a question. So it was basically, you were told what to do, when to do, and how to do it. You never spoke out of turn. And if they asked you something, you never, hee-hawed around, oh, good morning, how are you guys? And, nothing like that. You just had to answer the question, and that was it. Otherwise, you're in trouble. And so that, I know that kind of affected me, because even in adult life, one of the things that I was always, we were always told to just get to the point, don't answer the question, They never, asked you to elaborate or, express how you felt about it or anything. You just answered with question, and that was it. So it's just like so I'm kind of like that as an adult. I don't like to, when I go someplace, I don't like to, have introductions and, all that bunch of stuff. I really get antsy. I don't know why. I don't know if you guys are like that. I just want to get it over with, that's how I am. I went to a workshop one time, and here they had everybody introduce themselves. I was like, oh, geez, here we go again. Oh, what am I thinking? So when it came to me, I said, I'm Rose, just like my tag says, and I'm from Rosebud. And then I sat down, because I was really, annoyed by that, because that's just kind of what they instilled in you, Like I said, it was military style, and you never spoke out of turn, and you'd get in trouble really quick. In every classroom, they had like a board. It was either like a stick or like a paddle board, and they used that on the kids regularly, every day. We couldn't joke around or talk to each other. Did you finish your homework? Nothing like that. It was they just demanded, that everybody be quiet, and that's it. Otherwise, that they'll use that board on you. It's it wasn't really, that wasn't really a fun thing to do. And they were talking about, putting that DDT on your hair and stuff. For us over there, it was kerosene. And so every now and then you'll see the girls walking around with kerosene in their hair. I was thinking, geez, as an adult, after I thought about it, I was thinking, boy, we were really in a dangerous place, and these guys put us there. They didn't care. We could have caught on fire. That was really, really crazy. But that was their way of. It's like when you first get there, that's kind of one of the ways that they made sure that you didn't have any lice or anything. I know they cut some of the girls' hair and things like that. I was lucky they didn't cut my hair, but if they did, I'm pretty sure my grandmother would have went over there and raised Cain with them. And I was left there at boarding school. My brother, he broke his arm, when they were messing around. So my grandma was on a warpath. She went over there and raised Cain with everybody, and she got him out of school, and she took him home. And she put up a fuss about it, that he wasn't going to go to boarding school. So I really don't know exactly how that happened. But me, I was left there. My younger sister was too young to go school there, so I was left there. So us girls had to basically, us little girls, mind you, we're nowadays little girls are treated as little girls. We weren't, we just had to, little girls, taking care of each other. That's how it was, even fixing bed or, whatever. Like if somebody wet the bed, we didn't wash the sheets, I think it was only like once a week or something like that, every other week, something like that. So if somebody wet the bed, they made those little girls take all of their sheets, off their bed, and they had to rinse those sheets by themselves. The matrons didn't do it for you. Only after they had a day when they did laundry and stuff. That's the only time they got their sheets washed. So that's how sanitary it was, I should say. It wasn't the best place. And as far as doing any kind of cleaning, we did a lot of that. We were all given assignments on what to do, who was to, sweep the floor, all this bunch of stuff. We all had our own assignments that we did. And so that's kind of how I did it. But as an adult, I was thinking, geez, for so many years, I did that at boarding school. And here now, I just recently, I'd say in the past year, there are times I just left my bed. I didn't bother to fix it. But prior to that, I'd get up and I made damn sure my bed was fixed, because that's what we had to do at boarding school. And they checked them too. Just before we went to school, they went in to inspect our beds to see if we made our beds, and they had to be fixed a certain way. You couldn't just put it on there any old way. Like I said, it was
Mitered quarters.
yeah, I know.
Yeah, we've already had to be a false recorder.
Yeah.
So what is military?
Yeah.
False recorder.
Yeah. So I noticed that some of the younger people don't really know how to make beds. I mean, I guess everybody does it their own way, but we were taught a certain way, a military way, I guess.
Right.
And so I was like that for many years. And I'd really get annoyed with some of my relatives when they didn't fix their bed. But I tried not to say anything about it. But way later, after I had grandchildren and everything, I was thinking, geez, why am I doing that? We did that at old boarding school, and why am I doing that now? So now I kind of let go. There are days that if
That's your cat.
yeah, I'd get up and go, no, I don't feel like making my bed, so I'd get up and do other things, but I still get up really early. I've been doing that all my life, They used to get you up. See, after I went to boarding school, I also went to St. Mary's in Springfield. And there we got up like 5 in the morning to go to church every morning. And if we couldn't slack off, sitting like this or, on the bench or anything, you had to sit up straight. Otherwise, they'll come along. There is a woman that used to, she'll just kind of grab your hand, jerk your head up, if she caught you, slumping over or whatever, because he was so, sleepy. They could make all the noise they wanted at night and keep you up, but you gotta be, you gotta be awake to go to church and, things like that. And on Sundays, we never really had a meal, because that was supposed to have been a sacred day for them. So they basically starved us, just bread and, nothing really fancy, just a sandwich, that was about it. And at old boarding school, one of the things that happened to some of us girls was right after school, we ran back to the dorm because they never gave us any toys. So we had to make our own. And one day they were going to throw out this catalog, so we asked for it. And in here, so we got it and we cut out all of the people, in the catalogs and stuff, and that we had those for toys. And we were playing and we were all talking Lakota, and we didn't see this matron kind of standing behind the door on the other side. And boy, we were sure talking, playing with our paper dolls. Here, all of a sudden, she came in And she marched all of us to the hallway, and we had to kneel up against the the wall. And we stayed like that clear up until we went to bed. We didn't even get to eat. Those are the types of things they did to us. So later in life, I learned to not waste anything, as far as food goes, from not eating.
Same half.
Their holy days, they starved us. That didn't sit too well with me. So so now, and I'm really, you guys probably know that, yeah. So now I'm not really wasteful with anything, and I see a lot of the younger people, with it, they have a lot of choices now. Those were choices we didn't have. You had to wear your dress so far below your knee. We dare wear a dress. We most of the time we wore uniforms, and so lots of times it wasn't our fault if the dress got short on us. Somebody kids have growing sprouts. Some grow faster than others. So those ones that grew faster, that they would be in trouble because their skirt will be up a couple of inches and they'd be in trouble. So but those are things that weren't our fault, and we couldn't. We just kind of followed each other. There were no such thing. I never saw like a erasure or anything. Nowadays women shave and stuff. I never did see anything like that when I went to the boarding school. Not even amongst the older girls. So I don't know, if the older girls were ever allowed to do anything like that or not. And the way kids dress nowadays, they dress, how they want. And we didn't have that choice. We all dressed the same. We had to have these blouses clear up here, So there are times that, I just learned later in life, hey, I could dress any way I want now. I'm not in school anymore. But, those are the things, they in the traditional way, they say you're never supposed to use food as a punishment. There was no such thing. If they gave you something, you had to eat it. If you didn't eat it, you were in trouble. I saw kids that couldn't eat stuff, and sometimes they throw up, from it. But they pretty much had to clean up their own mess, and but at the same time, they still had to eat what they didn't want to eat. Things that made them sick.
I think the very so those girls will dish up and then pass it down, and the first thing you did was you cut your blade of pork, get in your butter and warm you. That was after you put your napkin grip. And then some of those older girls, if they didn't want to eat something, they'd make you eat it. Put it in their plate, go on. And so I had a lot of vegetables. All down.
I had to read it. I had that as the president. I hit for and it was there.
That house down, you were almost imagine this. I'm still like that. When I sit down at the table, I cut my grenade.
You set it plate and everything set before you eat.
Yeah.
Put your feet on the floor, back.
And sit it straight.
That turner on, Captain Bob. Gotta eat.
Well, I think pie with Jim came out of that because there was a girl that used to always make me eat all her vegetables. I beat her a couple of days ago, and she's barely walking. And she had a cane and KRC walked away.
That would have been my eat. I know. And it goes free. You need to be great to you. But I think guidelines give. I think where I go now, because you know what? I'll marry to Monday. You know? And I just got kids for him. Because if I didn't go to Bonnie to a party that I had a dozen kids, I wouldn't have ever been caught enough of it. I was thinking that well eating. And they teach you about your recycle. That was really good. Remember? We know that. You done Maxine stuff, we know? These things. It ran after before you ate, they tight. And everybody stood there and they'd sit down and they'd eat, and there was a halfway date. There was a whistle. You better be not, you should be, yeah, like this even week. It's like you just step it and swallow it on the end it. And it sits here, you know. You notice some kids do that? Wow. And they can be cycling strong. Whereas, and one time my son was a Marine. And so he was and kind of bouncing. And he called. He said, Mom, I can eat a whole course meal in 10 minutes. I said, I can too because I grew up in a wooden thought it would you get mad taken.
I know I went to St. Mary's. I was the same way. We had to eat within a certain time. And when our time was up, whether you finished your food or not, you had to leave the table, you know. And so some years back, I had a job where we only had half hour for lunch, and believe it or not, it just like I just kind of flowed right into that. I had it down to the last minute because when I was at St. Mary's, that's what they did to us. You have to eat within so many seconds flat or whatever. And like she said, sometimes you just swallowed it just to be eating, you know? And so I got to be good at that. I did everything in half an hour during lunchtime. I was really good at that.
She always has a sweater, or really white sweater. With I hiding in dirt. I take her sweet. This is okay. But bucket right, I could she shared it with me and Bernie. Yeah, I did it. Thank you. That was all just good for you.
I'm gonna get one. That's children treat.
Was the mission boarding school, was it run by Catholics? Priests?
No, it was run by the Bureau, but they made church St. Francis Mission. Remember, we had to go to church, and we had to have catechism classes. Yeah.
I see what the boarding school did was it get $10. So when I graduated in 1968, I wanted to go back so bad. That is boarding school, because now what, you know? So then, boy, leave me, I went back over there. I told my aunt taking me over there. And guess what? Most of my class lived for them. I'm hanging out, we know. They were teenagers, so they're real cool. They're
Because I tell you the story for me, eat those to those, but you know, I want to get off my chest, you know.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if Rose has done yet. I really would appreciate it.
What I came back, me when I came back, like to count up myself, I will never go into a Catholic church. That evil. And we the one I got hired from the church and St. Francis to take care of two priests that had heart trouble, Brother Joel and Wallman. They had heart trouble, but it entailment. But they were eating different diet. Well, now I went over there, I said, you have to pay me $20 an hour. I'm going to be here. I don't like this place, you know. Anyway, I went in there and I said, what do they feed you, you know? And here, they had, in one mat, they had the stick cans of grease on the table right here that were what they cook, and then save the grease. And they were feeding everybody that meat that was greasy, never drained the grease.
Thought about the vein.
Mm-hmm. It did. And you know what I thought? I should just let them into that work. But that's it. I did.
Oh, yeah.
That letting me up. Well, after I went to boarding school, I kind of had to adjust back into my regular life. And to me, like I said, when my grandmothers and them were there, I had it made, you know. I was never treated like that. I was never hollered at, and I was never hit. But when you go to boarding school, those are the things that you experience. You always get hollered at. And so now, if you see, you know, some of the older people, I noticed that some of them holler out, and that's because we were always hollered at. They never spoke to us in a nice way. Can you please, you know, do this or do that, or, you know, whatever. They never talked to you like that. They just hollered at you, and either you got it done or you were in trouble, you know, that type of stuff. So afterwards, I kind of had to adjust, getting back into the regular life. And but I came out of that with some good habits. Yeah, all my life I got up early. I mean, as a little person, you know, getting up at 5 in the morning, you know, to go to church and kneel, or, you know, whatever. That I think all of us had church, you know, from kneeling down, you know, we all had them church knees. And now my knees bother me off and on, you know, because I see, like, at the church, some of the churches have, like, sponges now, you know, where you kneel. Ours wasn't like that. It was just wood, yeah, hard wood. And sometimes you stay like that for a long time while these guys go on and on in church. And so I learned to hate that. And there was one priest I just hated because he never saw anything good in us kids. He never talked good to us. He always hollered at us. You know, every little thing he'd holler, you know. So when we were, like, in catechism classes and whatever, you knew when he was around because everybody was quiet. I mean, you could, you know, hear a pin drop. You know, that's how threatening these guys were. These guys were adults. They should have been charged with child abuse. You know, so in today's time, I don't like priests. I really don't. Some of them I could get along with, you know, as people, you know, as just persons, but just the thought of, you know, having people like that preaching and, you know, being mean, you know, to kids, I couldn't see that. That wasn't spiritual or anything, you know. That I don't know what that was. But, you know, I'm going to tell you a story. I'll make it short. Years back, before Columbus, even before any white people set foot on this continent, some of our people were way up in the north central part of North America. I guess that would be around Montana, southern Canada. Our people were up there, and there was this medicine man that told everybody, you know, he told them to pray. He said, because the devil's people were going to cross that ocean. You know, he said that, but at that time, some of the people had it so good that they didn't really pay attention to him because they didn't think that anything like that would ever happen, you know, and it's really crazy how how that medicine man said the devil's people were going to cross that ocean, and here once they crossed, then they turned the saying on us, saying that we were the devil's people. You know, that's kind of crazy. Like, yeah, but those are, you know, some of the things that we have to, you know, really live with and, you know, learn to deal with it. You know, and I'm kind of glad that you guys are doing this, because maybe it will help others, you know, kind of deal with some of the things that, you know, the trauma that they went through, because some of them, you know, were really traumatized by some of the things that, you know, happened to them during these times. And some of it, you know, they'll like these guys said, we're in our 70s. We don't know if, you know, if we'll ever, you know, get over that. But, you know, it's good to, you know, talk about some of those things. For years, I never talked about it. I think this is probably about the first time I ever really talked about, you know, those kind of things. But I noticed that other people that, you know, went to boarding school never really talked about it either. You know, I don't know why. Anyway, that's all I gotta say.
Is kind of good. Is the show out. Helpful. Good evening, we talk if the chante washte and I pay she's up the Wembley Rusker Woki, Amiado. Named Ronald Alnice, my Lakota name is Spot Eagle Helps them. The name was given to me in 1992 by the elders as the Honor of Elders celebration at Goldstock Park. Earl and Ed the Swift talked. Then that year they adopted me as they adopted a grandson. Now I got 16 grandchildren. I myself, you know, some grandpa, you know, really proud of those grandkids. And Earl and Ed had lost a son. So that, you know, in Lakota tradition, I would try to help the boy. So that was, it's really great. And I don't think there's any, that year was any greater honor to me than my children and grandchildren. You know, so I dressed up. But it seems like now the tribe doesn't do anything for elders, and nothing going on for elders. Elders for always about the youth. There's an youth day, that's good. But where's the elder day? 9th November, Ghost Flock Park. Last Saturday of May, there was always an honor of elders. It was a celebration at Ghost Flock Park. Now the employees get the day off, or elder day, the last Saturday of May, that Friday. And 99.9% of the employees don't even know what elder day is. It's a shame. All that means is that the elders will not get their meal that day. The old guy knows I talked about, because it's a holiday, you know, or worship day. Anyway, we are subject to Ronald Alnice. I went to, we boarding school survivors, I hear that, you know, but we kind of called ourselves that, you know, but we call ourselves veterans, you know. I've been with my friends, you know, because I went to Marty Indian School from St. Paul's Indian Mission, Marty, South Dakota, for 1962 to about 71, about 9 years, from 62, I was 15. I was a lifer, you know, me and my brothers were lifers. I'll explain later what lifers were. But just some observations here. For what you guys are talking about, I really love these stories because there's so many commonality. Marty was clear out in the prairie. There was nothing there. You go to Marty now, you see the housings and stuff. Then it was out in the prairie. And so it was really hidden. It seemed like my parents and my mother in Hocktawa, so if you know from over there, kids, when I go over there, I'm a Yank blood. They took out Rosebud deal. So they have my Yank blood while I'm over here. You know, so that's, she's from over there. But they went, every generation went to Marty, because, or boarding schools, because our parents, you know, because the government officials forced our parents to send them to boarding school. They tried to force by grandpa, and my great grandpa to send my mom and them to Marty Indian School because they have to go. You know, they forced them, and some of it was, you know, economics, because, you know, there were no commodities or no fooders, but just sent them there. But just either they, you know, and it broke some of the parents' heart. If they weren't taking from you physically, they were taking care from you emotionally. It was emotionally trauma, so they made you those. They couldn't afford to feed you, so they sent you to Marty. I was a lifer because my mother remarried. I was here to about 6 years old, 5 years old. My mom remarried. We went back there, and my mom remarried. She married a German guy from Scotland, South Dakota. Germans, they were really respectful because they had their language and stuff. You know, they had the culture that Oktoberfest in Scotland, South Dakota. So me and my brother, we went to Marty because he was a good man. You know, my mom had too many kids, you know, so they had to put me and my one brother was a grandma's boy. So we went to the boarding country school on Yankton Ridge, clear out in the sticks. Me and my brother Abby were lifers, you know. Means you were there, you went there, pop, you were there, you know. We were so far out there, you know, there was nothing around. You know, it was like hidden. You know, you didn't have your mom, your grandpa, you know, just to come and get you. You were there, you were there. I did have my grandma, them, they didn't have cars. They couldn't come get you all the time, but everyone would come. So we weren't there all the time. But those that were there, like, you know, you would, during the summer, you would have to leave because the school closed. Otherwise, some of us would have still been there in the summer. I mean, we would have been, me and my brother. You know, so, but my grandma and my uncles would come and get us. So I don't really resent that. But one thing about, you know, Marty Indian School, my great-grandma, her name was White Tawa. White Swan community, that's where she's from. It was a community, Indian and Ihanktawa community that was flooded out during they built the river, so my whole family and them were dispossessed. My mom, they were dispossessed. My mom, they moved over to Yankton. From Yankton to the hospital, they moved over here. She with my dad, Cleve Niece, you know, and they got married. So because they flooded out, you know, they dispossessed by people, I was born over here because my mom and my dad. So, but when they separate, when my mom and dad got divorced, we moved over to Yankton Res, you know, and so we were at Marty with the lifers, but, you know, nobody really talks about the good things about boarding school. You know, what happened about boarding school when I went there is, you know, one thing you said, you don't talk about it, you joke about it. You see people that you went to Marty with to this day, most of our dead, you know, they're, you know, and then, you know, if you see them, we'd be at a bar, I was a young guy, like, oh, the whoop-de-doo guy, you know, like, I was a whoop-de-doo, you like to enjoy yourself. You go to Marty, you talk about it. We said we're veterans, you know, we talk about who got beat the worst, you know, who got slapped around the most, you know, who did this, you know, which of us had it the worst, you know. And then later on when, because everybody went to boarding school back then, and if you didn't go to boarding school, we would think about someone, say, you know, you're not no erasure, you know nothing, you didn't go to boarding school, you're not real, you know. You like, you know, you weren't as much because you didn't go to boarding school, which was weird, you know. Maybe, you know, their parents didn't have to send them to boarding school. They're fortunate they didn't have to go to boarding school. You know, so my grandma, White Talo, she donates that land, and here, subsequently, she had generations after that, we've suffered trauma at the hands of the nuns and the priest. I wonder if Grandma White Talo would have seen what would become of this mission. Now the tribe bones it. You know, how bad it would be, you know, the beatings, all the... One thing is that there wasn't a lot of sexual stuff you heard about Marty, you know, but there was a lot of physical abuse. I'm going to tell a little series of stories here. This, when Deb Holland was there, you know, about... I got up and I talked. I'm a kind of a descriptive guy. And I said, I'm going to do this. I used to write about this stuff, too. I wrote about the abuse that we had. I wrote short stories, prose and stuff, and they got published a couple places. I still got them somewhere. You remember the newspaper? The newspaper that were published, that was one of the places. I have one called Dormitory Rights, but I'll get to that. But so you go to Marty Indian School, it's clear out there. You come over a hill, and you see that beautiful church, you see that steeple, and every single one of us tell the same story. Once you see that steeple, no matter how tough you are, you steel yourself but you tell your parents because your mama and your daddy, I don't want to go there, No, please, I'll be good. I'll do everything. I don't want to go. Please don't send me. Please, please, please. You beg them, please start crying, no matter how tough you are. You don't send them, but no choice, you go. The first night you're there, the little boys' dorm, St. Catherine's, the little boys are crying their eyes out. They're separated from Ina, Ate, Unshi, Tukasla. They're separated from them. But the big boys, and I think a lot of this abuse that we self-inflicted abuse on ourselves, it was perpetrated and perpetuated by the nuns and priests because, it was a sort of form of discipline and of shame because the big boys, they see little boys crying. In order to keep them crying, they'd beat up the little boys, slap the hell out of them. Big baby, boom, boom, it's like that. So you learn that. So the big boys would beat up the little boys, So that's from 1st to 6th grade. And so the nuns, they would look the other way. They would look the other way. That's good. Let them keep the little guys from crying. And some of the things they do for discipline is, so they had what was called bout lines. So all the boys would be on one side. You'd have two sides. All the boys. We had little gangs too. South boys, and stuff like that. But the Red Panthers, because of Red Power. But you'd have two lines. And so if you did something for punishment, you would run through that bout line. I told a lot of these stories during when Deb Howard was there, when they had this over to SGU. So they had the bouts. And you're not supposed to use the buckles, but like we had little gangs. You would run through that bout line, and you got some enemies or someone don't like you, or they don't like the Tahasha, so they would run through there. They would turn the buckle around those nuns, but they would look to them and they didn't care. They say from rude, but rules are made to be broken. When you're going through, they would hit that bout, and you see the movies where they fall down. A lot of guys couldn't make it through. They fall down, They'd still be hitting them, quite much, the nuns would stop it if it got too bad. They would stop it, but they just looked the other way. If somebody did something and nobody owned up to it, what they had was, we were always on lines. You guys talk about lines. Lines to go to church, lines for this, lines for everything. You would have to line up, and you'd be in your shorts. There would be a pillar. You go up to the pillar, and there was about the nun. So they'd give about 5, 10, depend on the transgression, and each little boy would get beat, 5 to 10 apiece. And the big boys would push the little boys to the front. That was part of their whole psychology. Put the big boys, and the big boys, by the time they get to the end of the line, usually, someone would admit to it or something because they'll get beat up. I think you don't admit to it, so the big boys won't get beat. So they'll escape the beating. So you're not supposed to use one of the things I wrote about was called dormitory rights. And you're not supposed to use more than 4 sheets of toilet paper. If you use more than 4 sheets, you'll get beat, so nobody just... One time someone threw a whole roll of toilet paper in the basket. That I'd come out, so that was a mortal sin. Something could go to hell. Who did that? Nobody would admit it. And, so they had the bout line. So you go up to that, they're all getting beat. At the end, we had someone from the Red Power, or the Red Panthers, who had little gangs with them. We were little gangsters too. So they said, so niece did that, so I got in a fight with a guy the week before, pounded him pretty good, In boarding school, you learned that when you get them down, you beat them back, otherwise they're going to just try to fight you. And they didn't care. On the priest, they just let you fight, Said, in fact, they watch it, So they're getting beaten, and they're saying, somebody, niece did, he did it, So the nun, she's a big boy, she was huge. She said, why'd you do that? Why did you do that? I said, I didn't do that because I did it. And well, you know, they want to escape the beating. Yeah, you did do it. And I goes, yeah, but yeah, you did it, you did it. And she grabbed me, she put me over her knee, and she had a big old brush, she would use a huge brush. Hit me because it my shorts. They just, perverts or something, they would anything because they like to beat us when we're on our shorts, our tronies, you know. Beat me. So why'd you do that? So I didn't do it. She said, look at that cross. You're like that man who nailed our Jesus Christ to the cross. Why did you do it? I did it. She said, you're worse. You're Pontius Pilate. You're Pontius Pilate. The little girls, parcel post, they get all this stuff. They all got a whole bunch of little sandals that had holes that have the straplet. So it made me wear those Pontius Pilate shoes for two weeks. Ridicule, got fights over that. So you have to wear the Pontius Pilate shoes. These were, that's why I called them dormitory rights, because that was the punishment. The belt lines, and runaways. Here's kind of funny story, And so when you get arguments something, there was one sadistic nun, her name was Sister Paul. She was another huge nun, a huge nun. And when there'd be a fight, there'd be arguments. There's a sewing machine. You go into they drove the sewing machine. So they got the high school girls come and make stuff for those sewing machines. And I got to fight this big guy. He's about 2 grades. I got into arguments. You come in here, fight it out. She calls the other down. They come. The other sadist. She comes in. You guys fight it out. She, John, right? But like that, like I look like fight him. But he said, fight it out. So I had to fight him. I was doing pretty good. I was a tough little guy, I was big for my age, but he's too big for me. And he started wailing on me, and I climbed underneath one of those big old sewing machines. And that nut came in with a big one. She grabbed me by the legs, we out, fight like a man. Fight like a man. So I fight. John said, yeah, well, who should let me after a while, so he couldn't beat it on me, because I couldn't whip him. So that's when you run away, when you're first to 6th grade, they bring you back, the big boys that bring you back, they truss you up like a deer. You come up like a deer. You come in, so what they do is, that's how they discipline you, when they get beat. Okay, you go to 7th to 8th grade, middle school. When there, it was called highway patrol. If you ran away, you never know when they were going to come out. It could be Brother Martin's. You never know when he's going to come out, but eventually he'd come out and he'd say, highway patrol, get up, fetch up here. So you have to go there. Even 7th, 8th grade, you have to be in there in your shorts. And they would have a razor strap, like this. I still got some scars there. I only got beaten once by person, because I said, damn, I didn't know that Brother Mark was there, but Saturday afternoon. Said, damn, needs to get that fetch up here, But some of those guys get about 15 out of 15 whacks, because they run away, but they catch you, they bring you back, and they get 15 highway patrol. So, and these are some of the forms of abuse, I got kicked out. Marty, when I was a freshman, otherwise I would have graduated. I was a lifer. McKean was a teacher from back east. He came in, he was known for, he would beat up kids. He would hit you. Like Brother Martin hit me, we called him meatball. One time he hit me so hard. I was a good kid, basically. I was an altar boy, altar boy. He hit me and knocked me and my desk over. He's going around, someone is talking. Innocent guy again, but he said, be 5 full from, if I smell the blood of a rummy dum-dum, be he live or be he dead. If he don't shut his mouth, I'll surely bust his head. Boom, he hit me in both my desks. He was tough, he was a big guy. His hair was all curly, kinky, so we call him meatballs. We went flying over. It's the only time I ever ran away from Marty. I ran away. But not too long after that, I said, why couldn't I whip him? I wish I could whip him, but he's too big for me. And so I said, I'm never going to do this again. I'm never going to let another nut, never going to let a priest. Someone said that. And we said, we got to stop it. We have to fight back. Look, it's because the Red Power was 71. It's Red Power out there before AIM, so we can't do this anymore. Can't take this anymore. So McKean, he hit Carol Canoyer. Facebook Carol. Remember that, Carol? What did that do to you the rest of your life? He hit her, gave her a bloody nose, busted her nose, fell down. Bobby Canoyer, who became the tribal chairman later, went up to McKean, boom, blast him, cool cocked him. And they said after that anybody ever hits a teacher again, automatic expulsion. McKean comes at me one time and he attacks me, so I fight him. We're going pretty good. I try to tell him to quit hitting me because I'm going to hit you back. So I start giving the best of him. And we go out the hallway and he comes attacks me again. I was even taking a little karate, some of those little karate guys that I did a chest. I watched Karate Kid, I make them laugh. I just I call it check. So I hit him with chest. He from 3 little stairs in high school, knocks him down. He jumps up. I said, I'm gonna tell Meatball. Father Francis, he hates that. This guy hates that. I'm gonna tell him you called him Meatball. Father Francis, he was like St. Francis of Sicily. The animals all came up to that. Remember St. Francis of Sicily? But he hated any kid that beat the shit. Well, he would do. McKean would hit women, girls too. He would hit girls. Father Francis was known to just hitting people. My brother Robbie niece, when I got kicked out of Marty, he got kicked out. He came in St. Francis, he got kicked out a year later because Red Power started coming about, and they asked. So my brother Robbie, they had a band, Electric Savages, so he was lead singer, lead guitarist. He was really, my brother Robbie was amazing, And he said, so him and Lawrence Ector asked for a meeting of the faculty. They actually got a meeting of the faculty. And they said Robbie and Lauren and others, and so Meatball was the main guy, Father Francis. And they said that Robbie said, spokesman. Robbie's always a spokesperson and everything, And he got up and he said, to Meatball, he said, "You're Jesus Christ? Why don't we have Indian studies? Why can't we have, learn about our own culture? Do we study our Bible? So why can't we learn about our culture, our traditions?" They said, "And why can't we have our hair long?" He said, like that Meatball. And then you see Meatball. He said, "Your Jesus Christ had long hair." Meatball jumped up and he said, "How dare you? The audacity to compare yourself to our Lord Jesus Christ. You don't belong here. Get out of here." Kicked him out. I said, "Leave." I said, "We'll call the cops." And he said, "Oh, things will change," because you never hear that. Red Power before AIM start changing things. When I looked at Lord Zephyr sitting over and said, "That didn't get with you." Lord didn't even do anything well. They kicked him out too. That was it. They kicked them all out that day because they dared ask for Indian studies to have long hair. So they kicked him out. The reason that I too want to thank the young people too for doing this. Because it's hard. It is hard to talk. I thought myself, I kind of got a lot of it because when I told these stories, pretty much the same, but I was more descriptive. And over to SGU, I had to stop. I know what I can't say, Dad, I never talked to anybody about just my kids. My kids have grandkids, they know all about Marty. Said, my kids have Dad, boarding school really affected you. You got the OCPD, DT, or whatever you call OCD, because, you got to have everything clean. You got to have everything straight, so if that's from boarding school, so it clean to be clean, we got a good education. One thing about Marty, we got a good education. It was beat into us, but, they said so that's why you see at boarding school people, they do holler. But a lot of boarding school, like Marty, because you had these charges and you were about responsibility. But the main thing I know is that, that we were, you see the movie about Band of Brothers? Those of us that are still alive, we still have our boarding school days. I was riding popcorn, our popcorn king, because I make the popcorn for the movies. That was in cushion detail. You can barter that, you can use it barter, you can use it for protection, you can use it to snack, you can do everything with popcorn, that back then, because popcorn, that was the thing you wanted to have a charge. Bakery detail was the other thing you wanted, because because you use the rolls for barter. So, but everything else, you don't get nothing to it, you just got. Did you guys have to kneel like this, or did you just have to be on your leash? We had to go like this here. Our lats are dropping. That's where you get the ruler with the steel tips. If your hands start dropping, boom, like that. And if they drop it, they make you put them out like this. Your hands go like this here. If you go more than once, you have to like that, so you have to do it for like an hour. But you have to kneel for 2 hours, but you have to have your hands up like that for 1 hour. And if they drop, that's, so always there are a lot of commonality. One time we went to, there was this nun named Sister Benita. I found out later Benita means pretty. Well, boy, was she ugly, Sister Benita. We went to confession one time. We're coming back. We're all coming online, boys and girls, to St. Teresa's, where the school was, grade school. We're coming down this little incline. It was, I see Sister Benita start slipping like this here. Oh, boy. She looked like Flying Nun, those big old black things they had. It was like, they call her Scopawi, too, because it was always like this. It was always like, go Scopawi, just go Scopawi. You're like, so they go like that. So it's like now, and we're trying not to laugh, the boys. The girl says, oh, could I help laugh? She got up, she sat up. You guys, you committed a mortal sin. We committed a mortal sin for what? I said, for what? It's a mortal sin to laugh at a nun. I said, oh, as if. Well, I don't say as if, because it was not even, or something like that, because you still, those sayings have been around for a long time, a lot of them, long. Like some of the sayings that I saw my kids, they guys didn't come up with that. We've been saying that forever. We were saying that before the hospital was. We said all that stuff, over there. We've been saying that for forever, But so it was really funny about this nun, because she took us back, said we committed a mortal sin, so we go back, because we just came for confession. So we came back, we had to go back there. Father Casper was there. Father Casper says, but we heard him talking, Sister Benita, Sister Scopa, she was mad. She come up like that, she said, because we found out later, he wouldn't see the confession, said no. So she made us to do stays. We had to do the stations across the way around. We had to do the stations, it took forever. And that's a lot of, I took a lot of time, but I thank you for that, because it is, now after that's to you, I just thought I tried to talk to my kids and grandkids about when they say that I have OCPD, it's because I just thought about that. Maybe if they heard this, I joke around about them. I say it jokingly. I don't say hate, because I'm not trying to get the sympathy. But I made one to them, to understand before even, and some of us were saying, why don't I'm glad the young people, I'm kind of, well, 6 years ago, my kid joined me to the Facebook. I'm off. I don't like Facebook. My daughter's trying to get me to take sides. Because it's food on your own. I like TikTok, I found out I love TikTok, old guys TikTok. I want native TikTok. And I like that so well. But I seen about that movie, that was from Facebook, We Were Children. I said, yeah, I said, that's a Prime Video. If you guys seen that, you gotta see that. That will make you cry. I try not to ever cry, but I cried during that movie. And my kids, my grandkids, let's watch this with my grandkids. They see me like that, they start crying. See, you get emotional when you talk about your kids and grandkids. You guys, I'm gonna shut up because I get a little bit emotional, but I thank you guys, Thank you, Lawrence, too. Thank you for this.
Yeah, thank you, quick team, thank you, right, all. This is really nice, very welcome. Thank you once again.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
For sharing as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you.